The top 20% of earners are still spending. So why are luxury brands losing them? The wealthy and ultra wealthy never stopped spending. In 2026, the top 10% of earners account for nearly half of all consumer spending in the US. Half. The clients at luxury brands were built to serve, the ones that buy ready-to-wear, home, jewelry, not just shoes and bags. They're still here and they are ready to buy. So why are some of the most iconic luxury houses on the planet reporting softness? It's not the economy. It's not the market. It's a client relationship crisis. And I have seen it coming for years. My name is Sayda. Welcome to For the Doers, for leaders who live life on their own terms and don't settle for less. Today, we're going inside the luxury industry to talk about something that most brand consultants won't say out loud. The brands losing their best clients right now, most of them don't even know it's happening yet. I spent over 23 years inside the luxury and fashion industry at the director level. I worked with some of the most storied brands in the industry: Gucci, Hermes, Tiffany and Company. In that time, I learned one thing above everything else. Luxury is not a product category. It is a relationship standard. The brands that are struggling right now have confused the two. They've invested billions of dollars in social media and influencers, price increases, campaigns with the biggest celebrities on the planet, and they've quietly, almost invisibly, divested from that one thing that actually retains a client: the relationship. Bain & Company tells us the personal luxury goods market is expected to grow 3 to 5% in 2026. Deloitte calls this a shift towards a relationship-driven model shaped by trust, cultural relevance, and the ability to blend intimacy with innovation. That sounds great on a slide. But I want to talk about what it actually looks like on the sales floor, in a client appointment, in a follow-up phone call. In the moment when your best client walks in and no one recognizes her. Because that moment, that's where brands are hemorrhaging revenue that you cannot see on a quarterly report. Here are some numbers I want to carry with you. The top 5% of clients for most luxury brands provide approximately 40% of sales. The next 15% of clients deliver another 30%. So that's usually about 70% of your revenue coming from 20% of your clients. Now think about how luxury brands, most of them, allocate their attention. Marketing budgets for new client acquisition, training programs focus on conversion, KPIs measure average transaction value, but almost none of it is built around retaining and deepening the relationship with that top 20%. I've written enough monthly reports and sat in enough strategy meetings to tell you that this is not a new problem. The conversation has been had, but not actioned. So the problem is accelerating. Here's what's changed. The luxury customer has evolved. Millennials and Gen Z now represent nearly 75% of luxury buyers. They discover brands differently and they engage differently. They move between resale and retail without shame or apologies. And critically, their loyalty is not automatic. In my generation and the generation before of luxury clients, there was a reverence for the house, the heritage, the craftsmanship, and that reverence created a baseline of retention. That baseline is gone. Today's luxury client, whether she's 32 or 62, expects to be seen. She wants to be known. She wants to be anticipated. She doesn't want to be sold to. She wants to be served. There's a profound difference between those two things that's being lost in translation inside of a lot of organizations right now. Let me tell you about a client I remember from early in my career. She came in to buy a pair of sneakers that around that time were about $350. For a lot of luxury salespeople, that transaction goes quick. $350 pair of sneakers, let me ring that up, done, next. But this client, had an extraordinary experience with her salesperson because he was genuinely curious about her. He wanted to know who she was, what her life looked like, what she actually needed, not just what she came in to purchase. Over time, that client became one of our top ready-to-wear clients. If you're not familiar with luxury and fashion, ready-to-wear is the pinnacle when it comes to sales. These are the clients who invest in the full vision of the collection. They trust you with ready-to-wear and jewelry. They trust you with runway that starts somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000. And they don't just represent revenue. They are the soul of what the brand is representing that season. That's why we do what we do. That transformation from a $350 pair of sneakers to a trusted, lasting relationship did not happen because of the product. It happened because she felt valued. She felt seen. She felt that someone genuinely invested in her as a person, not just a transaction. And that is clienteling at the highest level. It's not complicated, but it requires something that most brands are not willing to invest in: time, attention, and people who are trained to give both. Here's what a brand like Hermes understands and has always understood. Quiet luxury is not an aesthetic. It's a value system. It's an assumption of excellence without performance, having discretion. And it's a willingness to serve someone without making them feel like they're being served. It's understanding that your best client is not impressed just by what you have. She's even more impressed by whether or not you know her. JP Morgan reported that 60% of consumers across the US and Europe now use resale platforms to purchase secondhand luxury goods. 60%. That's not a resale trend. That's a trust issue. When clients start shopping pre-owned, it's often because they no longer feel the relationship justifies that price. So let me ask you something. Whether you're a brand leader, a retail director, a consultant, or an entrepreneur who's building something in the luxury or premium space, when was the last time your organization had a real conversation about retention? Not client acquisition, not conversion, not traffic, but retention. The uncomfortable truth is that most luxury brands do not have a retention strategy. They have a sales strategy with retention language layered in. And that's usually applying to the top 5% of clients. Their best clients can feel the difference, even that top 5%. So, what does that mean for you? I want to leave you with 3 questions, not answers, but questions, because the right questions are what create your strategy. Question 1, who are your top 20%? Not as a segment, but as people. Do you know their names? Do you know their spouses' names? Do you know their preferences? Do you know their milestones? If your CRM has their purchase history, but not their story, you do not know them. Question 2, what is your retention architecture? Not a loyalty program, but the architecture, the intentional, systematic way that your organization deepens relationships over time. If you can't describe it in 2 sentences, it doesn't exist. Question 3, are your people trained to build relationships or to close transactions? Because those are completely different skill sets, and you can't teach one by investing in the other. The luxury market isn't broken. The relationship model inside it is, and that's a problem with the solution. I left my career to choose my health. I've talked about that in a couple of earlier episodes, and it applies here too. Because everything that I'm building now, the consulting, these conversations on For the Doers, all of it is built on the same principle. Real relationships, honest expertise, and the courage to say the things that need to be said, even when they're uncomfortable, because that's the only way we grow. 23 years inside luxury taught me almost everything that I know about business, and I'm so grateful for that. Now I'm taking what I learned inside those walls, all of my experience, and bringing it out. I want to work with leaders who are building something real, something lasting, something worthy of the clients that they want to serve. That's what we're here for. If this resonated with you, if you lead a team, or if you run a brand, or if you're building something in the premium space, drop a comment or a question below. Share this episode with someone who you think might want to hear it. And if you haven't already, this is the perfect chance to subscribe to For the Doers. Thank you for being here. You belong here. Take care of yourself first and then do the work. I will see you next time, and I hope you have a fantastic and productive week. Bye.